guys want to get married this week, come on up. We got a DJ, we got a speaker, we got the whole line of everything.
Let's
We
give
can do
it
it
up
now.
for Kane one more time.
Woo!
I'm not a public speaker, but I beg to differ. So, let's
So
get a
every
little bit
time
more
Kane, when he
energy in
speaks, he
here.
was
Okay,
I'm
when I
not
say
public speaker.
25, you say 55.
Public
25.
You listen, I'm not public speaker.
That was weak. All right, one more time. 25. 55. That's what I'm talking about. Slav, you hear that? Sounds good to me. Okay. So, with that being said, I want to introduce our
brother, thank you.
first keynote speaker of the evening. Okay. He flew out all the way from the States, somewhere down yonder over there. So Tyler Cerny is an international award-winning keynote speaker. His viral TEDx talk named How to Find Your Life's Purpose Instantly by Asking Yourself 3 Questions has reached over 2.5 million views and has earned him the spot as the top 500 most TED Talk watched of all time. He travels the world teaching people how to find their life's purpose and create purpose-driven businesses, which is really important because that ties in with the Circle Syndicate. Damon John, the famous shark, has awarded him and named him Presidential Ambassador of Global Entrepreneurship for his purpose-driven businesses and his willingness to serve others. So with that, guys, let's welcome Tyler Cerny. Welcome to the stage. Where's he at? There he goes. If you have something to take notes with, I suggest pull it out.
Appreciate you, brother. How are you, brother? Wow. I feel like someone's going to get married this weekend. Who feels that right now? I come out to the venue today, and I'm like, man, I got the stage, we got DJs, we got LaFlex in the crowd, where you are, brother, right here. So you got the music. But super grateful and honored to be here, guys. Just honored to be in Dubai, such a beautiful country. I've been to a lot of places, and to be in a country where you pray 5 times a day, it just is so humbling for me that it brings so much joy to my heart, because the States really needs that. And I think Dubai is a global leader in a lot of different things in terms of the businesses, how they build relationships. How, we went to a restaurant last night, my wife, there's like a 360 surround sound with like, the waiters are like, in uniform and all these different things. I'm like, this is over the top Dubai. And now we're in the desert with 50 to 100 supercars. So just super grateful to be here, and just a shout out to 2555 and a shout out to the Circle Syndicate and all the sponsors. So if you guys want to give them another round of applause, because I know we've given them so much love. But guys, one of the things that Ali was telling me when I was preparing my talk to come here today, he was telling me, everyone in this room is a business owner, entrepreneur, or investor looking to better themselves for this next chapter of their life, right? Whether you're at 6, 7, 8, 9 figures, wherever you're at, I was thinking about, what can I provide to you guys? What could I come in? I'm flying from the States. What can I show and deliver you guys? Because there's so many amazing people in this room. There's people that have more experience than me. There's people that have bigger brands than me, and there's people that make more money than me. And Dubai is one of those places where, if you don't have an exotic, you're like a peasant here. You got to get your level up. And one of the things I came up with is, if you are looking to establish influence and authority, how can we do that regardless of our age, our income, and our brand and experience? And that was really the message I wanted to share with you guys, because if you guys are looking to get into a new industry, start a new business, or you're going to compete with major brands within the country and within your industry and your market, and they have a bigger brand, they have more experience, and they make more money than you, how can you find your distinctive advantage? How can you get ahead and ultimately build relationships and add value to the people around you? And so that's what I want to share with you guys. And the first thing that you can do is share your story. I know I've connected with a handful of amazing individuals, Peter, LaFlex, Ali, Kane, people all around the world. If I haven't connected with you, I would love to connect with you. But one of the things I would do with every single one of you guys is, we were talking for like 5 to 10 minutes, and we didn't even talk about business at all. We were just connecting on who are you as an individual, where are you from? And the story is so important, guys, is because, there's a lot of people that are very successful here, but I'm on this stage not because of what I've achieved, and it's all, glory to the God and the Most High, but it's because I have a story and I shared my story. And that's it. And we all have a story, especially the people that have gone through major adversity at a young age to get to where you guys are today. You guys have gone through that for a reason, because it's prepared you for where you are to what's coming ahead, all right? And so a little bit about my story, because it's good to understand the story so then any of you guys can relate, you can connect. But, for me, very small town in Cleveland, Ohio, in the Midwest, came from a blue-collar family, and I was actually very, very overweight as a kid. I was like, they call them butterballs. I don't know if you guys have that in, but like very, very overweight. And there's in America, we play soccer, and you eat the watermelon and the orange slices on halftime. My mom, she was like, Tyler, I want you to get out of the house because you're eating too much, you're too fat. Get out of the house and play soccer. And I was the guy that ate the watermelon and the orange slices at halftime. And then when the ball came to me, I just kicked it as far as I could. So, I share that with you guys because, that was where I started. That was the cards I was dealt. And that was something that I can really connect on. My wife and I actually connected on this. We have a heart for kids because when you look at someone, like let's say a little kid, child obesity, a little kid doesn't make their own decisions. And so I have a heart for people like that because, they're just doing what they've been told and what they're used to doing, right? And so that was the cards I was dealt. And then, so fast forward to like junior high, I played football because football, I just got to eat food, stand in front of this guy and not let him attack the quarterback, not let him tackle it. So I'm like, I get to eat whatever I want. I get to stand in front of this guy and then I get rewarded. You know what I mean? I know the USA guys, they appreciate that. You guys have NFL or football, like American football in Dubai or something, or like rugby? You guys have rugby? Rugby? And so very similar, but with pads, And so 7th and 8th grade was very, very slow. I remember one day they had me on camera and we would watch film, right? And there was one play where I went to get through the play to attack the quarterback, and then the quarterback is 10 yards up the field, and my coach called me out. They're like, what is Cerny doing? He's 5 or 10 yards behind the field, and the quarterback's already 10 yards up the field about to score a touchdown. And guys, I share this with you is because I was not that good. I didn't really know what I was doing, right? Fast forward into high school, was awful my freshman year. Sophomore year, I was a receiver, and there was this old guy. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but there was an older gentleman at my high school. He actually... he was the nicest guy, wouldn't hurt a fly. He was a guy that was with the school for 30, 45 years. Like this guy was in here, graduated, and kind of worked there his whole life. I got on a run play, I blocked. This guy, I've never heard him yell. He got up in my face, I blocked, they called a penalty on me, and they brought the touchdown back. And he was saying, Tyler, I never want you on a run play ever again. Get off the field. He's like yelling at my face. And I remember even sharing this with you today. It's like, man, that guy was hating hard on me, really hard, But, it was one of those things where I kind of looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, man, should I even be playing football right now? Am I even in the right area? So then fast forward to junior year. Junior year, I got a little bigger. I worked hard, and then I got an opportunity to play on the field, but I was on the special team. So it was just kick and go tackle the guy. That's it. So I got a little bit of playing time. But it wasn't until the summer leading up into my senior year. It was the summer leading up into my senior year when I made a decision. And that's something that I want to share with you guys today. All it takes is making a decision and having a commitment. And I know the ladies and the guys will appreciate this, but I told my wife when I met her, and I'll share this with you too, I asked her, I said, what's the difference between being committed or interested? Does anyone want to share? Committed versus interested. Can someone take a stab at it? Does anyone know the difference between interested versus committed? Ali.
Interested, you're going to half-pass it. Committed, you're all the way in.
Interested, you do whatever's convenient. Committed, you do whatever it takes. Right? So exactly. And so in your relationship, are you interested or are you committed? But I'll leave you guys to have that conversation. But and then, so I made a decision to, you know what? I'm going to get on the field. I don't care what it is. I'm done playing this. If I'm going to be spending my time, putting my energy towards this, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to commit. I'm going to do whatever it takes. So every single day, I went to the beach, and I ran up a hill. I sprinted up a hill. I just kept doing that every single day, and I weight trained. My senior year, I stepped into it, and I led the team in sacks. I became the defensive player of the year, and then I got an opportunity to have a scholarship in college for college football. And I share that with you is because it took me about 6 years before I started to reap the fruits of my labor. It took me 6 years to really, when I started playing football in 7th grade up to my senior year in high school, that 6-year period really set the trajectory of my life is because Some of you guys here today, you guys are on the right path, but maybe you guys aren't, bearing the fruit that you want to see yet. But maybe it's just you have to stay consistent and stay disciplined and make a decision, because when you make a decision and make that commitment, that's going to get you to the next level, because it's not where you start, but it's where you finish. And through that opportunity, I got an opportunity to play college football. Then from there, I went overseas and played basketball overseas for 3 years. Basketball was my love, but I was the best at football. So I played basketball, lived in Beijing. Then this brings me up into kind of my talk on how to find your life's purpose. And maybe some of you guys are at this period too, because I know some of you just moved to Dubai. Maybe you just got in a new relationship. Maybe something traumatic happened to you. Something new chapter of your life started where you guys are now in a transition period of your life, right? And so with that period, you guys have to get crystal clear on what your purpose is and what your vision is for your life. And for some people, it takes a lot to find what their purpose is and get clear on what it is that they wanted to do. And that's what I faced after sports. And a great example I like to share, if you guys know Michael Phelps, I know my USA guys do. He's like one of the best swimmers in the world, right? He wins all these gold medals, and then afterwards he goes into a deep state of depression. Why is that? Top athlete in the world, he leaves sports, and now he goes into a deep state of depression. Why is that? It's because his values and his identity was found as a swimmer. Because if I no longer swim, I no longer have identity, and I no longer have a value. And so some of you guys may be in a transition where it's like, this new chapter in my life isn't the same, and maybe your values and identities was found in something externally. Because if it's found externally outside of you, you're always going to come up short. You're always going to come up short, and you're always going to be unfulfilled, and you're not going to have peace. Because for me, ultimate wealth is having peace of mind and taking care of the home and making sure my loved ones are happy and have peace around them too. Because if I don't have peace in a certain situation, I know that I'm doing something and I have to realign myself so I can find peace again. And so with that, the second thing to find influence and authority, to basically dictate the environment around you, is understand your life's purpose. And one of the things, and this changed my life once I understood this concept. So by a show of hands, I know we have some supercar owners here. How many people have actually read the owner's manual in the vehicle? By a show of hands. We got 2 people. Okay, Lord, be with us out there, right? So the owner's manual, why was the owner's manual created? It's the creator of the vehicle. They created that so then if anything goes wrong, you guys can look at that owner's manual. But what happens? When the car breaks down, we have an issue, we take it to the mechanic, we're like, dude, this thing's not starting up, it's making a weird noise, it's smoking, we need to figure something out, right? Because what happens is the person that designed Lamborghini, the person that designed Porsche, the person that designed Ferrari, they had a very specific intention when they created that vehicle. They knew everything, the wheels, the motor, the way it sounds, the exhaust, everything is down to a T with purest intention. And that's what purpose stands for. Purpose, the first section of purpose is P-U-R, represents pure, and pose. Whoa. That was so dramatic, right? Oh, thank you. We're bringing the house down here, That's funny. But purpose is 2 parts. P-U-R is pure, and pose is an intention that I set forth beforehand. So if I think of purpose, it's the purest intention set forth beforehand. So if I really start to wrap my head around that, what is my purpose? What is my purpose here on this earth? Well, my purpose was the purest intention set forth beforehand. And we all believe in a higher power here, and it's like, we've been handcrafted and hand designed here for a reason. Every single individual is here for a reason. I'm here from, the States. It's not by coincidence. It's for a reason. And I think, what is the stat? I think it's like 1 out of 1 trillion odds of your parents meeting and their sperm meeting connecting to have you as a child is the odds that you're here. And every single one of us is a lottery ticket, right? So then if we think about that, if I'm handcrafted, I'm hand-designed by my creator of the universe, how am I designed? Because if I try to step outside of my design and outside of alignment from what I'm called to do and what I'm called to be, I'm going to start to have issues, just like people had some issues with their vehicles today. I heard some things going off, and that's another conversation. But, you're going to have issues because, if I look at this stage here, everything around us, it starts with the thought and then it's created into the real world. So if I look at this stage, and let's say the intention of the person who created this stage was to stand on it and speak on it. But let's say I come in because I have an ego and I say, hey, I want to use this as a bed. And I come in and I come down and I sleep on it and I go like this. And it's like, well, this isn't really that comfy, right? Why is that? Why is that? It's because I'm trying to do it my way and I'm trying to give it purpose. I'm disregarding the person that created this, that has the purest intention for the creation of this, and I'm trying to do it my own way. How many times have we done that in our life, right? How many times have we tried to do something out of alignment with our purpose? Because I'm telling you, everything that I wear, the shoes, the jacket, this is just who I am. I'm not trying to be anyone else, and I'm not trying to be anything less. It's just because I know exactly who I am, and people that resonate with that, I connect with, right? And so if you guys understand your life's purpose, and you guys step into a room, and you're able to start talk with purpose and clarity, what's going to start to happen is people are going to say, there's something different about you. There's something different about how he speaks. There's something different about his energy, or his or her energy, all because you know exactly who you are as a human being, right? And there's so much power in that, and there's a lot of people, wealthy people, that make a lot of money, but they don't actually know who they are, and they're not fulfilled, and they don't have peace of mind. And that breaks my heart, is because you have everything of this world, but you don't have peace and you don't have happiness. And it's because you're out of alignment. You're trying to live a life that's out of alignment of who you are as a human being. And so one of the things also to understand with purpose is there's a cycle of unfulfilling purpose, right? So the first step is, a new chapter starts. Something traumatic happens to you. You get married. You start a new business. You move to a new country. Something new happens. So now I'm in a decision of, what do I do in this next chapter of my life? The next step goes to, confusion, chaos. This is all new to me. I don't know what to do with my life, and there's a lack of clarity. And what I start to do is I start to step in and start to get some sort of clarity. Something I'm starting to do. I think I'm moving in the right direction. I think I'm finding some purpose. I think I'm finding some intention. And what starts to happen, you're like, you know what? I think I found it. But if the last stage is lack of fulfillment and lack of peace, then I'm starting right back from the square one. Now I'd make another transition in my life. So again, I need to get out of this cycle of unfulfilling purpose and step into purpose. And there's 3 powerful questions you can ask yourself. Number 1 is, who are you called to serve? And the reason why I start with that question, a lot of people say, what's your why? You guys have probably heard that. What's your why? People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? And I totally agree with that in a business. Understand why you do it. That's so powerful. But in terms of who you're called to serve, instead of starting with why, you start with who. Because another thing to mention is there's a thing called the helper's high. When I help and serve someone, I feel really good. When I hold the door open for someone, dopamine gets released in my brain. Human beings are hardwired to serve one another, right? Because that's how our Creator intended it. So there's 3 levels of service. I could be serving myself, I can be serving others, or I could be serving the Creator. And some of you guys are in the right vehicle, but you just have to change your perspective of who exactly you're serving. Because for me, if I get up on stage, if I show up and like, hey, I just want to serve myself. If that's my focus, I'm going to show up a certain way. If I'm like, hey, I'm going to serve the people around me, I'm going to show up another way. And then ultimately, if I say, hey, you know what, praying before this meeting, like, Lord, move within me, Holy Spirit, move. Lord, I want you to speak to the people, and I want to honor you in every which way I can, right? Those are 3 different periods that I'm moving in, right? And if I can get to that, what starts to happen is you're going to start serving yourself and you're going to start serving others simultaneously. And so the first question is, that's like the macro. Who are you called to serve? You're called to serve your Creator. If you have that intention, and Dubai is an amazing country that's extremely humble. One of my favorite quotes is, those who humble themselves will be exalted, and those who exalt themselves will be humbled. And those people that humble themselves are praying on the ground. That's the ultimate level of humility. And what starts to happen is you start to get exalted. The Creator notices that, and you start to get rewarded, and you start to bear fruit. And so that's another thing to mention is, like, who in your life has the fruits that you want? Because if they're starting to bear fruits in the areas, that means they're doing something right, and they're staying consistent, and they're serving the Creator because the Lord's blessing them. Because it's a law of the universe, right? If I'm a farmer and I'm sowing seed, A farmer is not sitting there saying, man, I hope we get a harvest. No, the farmer knows that if it plants seed every single season, it's going to reap a harvest in 3 to 6 months, right? So if there are certain areas of our life, in our relationships, our business, our happiness, what's the fruit that we're bearing in our life? Because if we're bearing good seed, I can expect good fruit. I can have an expectancy. I can have a level of confidence saying, I've done the work. I've laid the seed. I've done the work. But if I'm not bearing the fruit that I want in any area of my life, what type of seed am I sowing, right? Because bad seed will sow bad fruit. If I sow an apple seed, I'll get an apple, right? And so if you guys don't like the fruit that you're reaping, it's then sowing that seed into your life, right? And then the second question is, or the first question is, who are you called to serve, right? And the second question is, what problems are you called to solve? Because if you get crystal clear, and this is then stepping into a business model for your life. How can I understand my purpose? If my intention is to serve my Creator, now it's how can I create a business model around it, right? Because who wants to get paid for doing what they love to do, right? Well, if I get clear with who I'm called to serve, how would I start with people that I can relate to? I can relate to former military and former athletes. Those are just my people, predominantly men, because I can be very direct. Sorry, women, they're very emotional. And my wife's Latina as well, so I don't work with any women. But my wife loves that. Oh, my God, that's another story. But yes, I'm very direct, but who are you called to serve? Who can you relate to? What experiences have you gone through? Maybe you guys, I met some people from the UK. Maybe you're called to serve business leaders that are working in the UK that want to go international in Dubai, right? Or, get clear on who you're called to serve. And then the next question is, what problems are you called to solve? Because every single one of the people in this room has a problem. We have problems in our life. So then if I can get clear on, let's say the ultra wealthy, ultra successful individuals that own supercars, all the sponsors come in and play a role, right? You have the concierge service, you have a speaker service, a yacht service. It's like, what problems do they have, and how can I fill a solution? Because that's the last question. How am I called to solve that problem? Who am I called to serve? What problems am I called to solve? And how am I called to solve that problem? And that last question is the easiest part, because once you know the problem and you know the individual, then you can provide a solution at scale. How can I help as many people as humanly possible get this result and solve this problem? Because from there, that's how I get paid. And if it's a big problem, I'm going to get paid a big paycheck. If it's a small problem, I'm going to get paid proportionate to it as well. And so, story, purpose, and then the last thing I want to share with you guys is vision. Having a vision for your life, because the people will perish without a vision. And one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is the story how I met my wife. I actually met my wife in Miami. My buddies told me that if I go to Miami, what happens in Miami stays in Miami. But I went to Miami, and that came back with me for eternity. Isn't that right, baby? Yeah, so I met my wife on a Friday, and I got married on Monday. I didn't even know what I signed up for, but it was such a blessing. Now we've been together for over 3.5 years, and one of the things I share with people, is I had a very clear vision, and I had crystal clarity on what I wanted. Because when I met my wife, I wrote my wife down 6 pages worth. I knew exactly what I wanted, and I got very descriptive. I knew exactly what I wanted in my relationship because I've been in a lot of relationships. And so I got crystal clear what I wanted. So then when I met my wife, I knew she was the one. Because if I didn't have crystal clarity on what I wanted, I could have just met my wife, because at the time she lived in California, I lived in Florida. I could have went to her and said, hey, it was a pleasure to meet you. It was great to meet you. It was awesome. We'll talk soon. But since I knew exactly what I wanted, I met my wife. And so this is the same thing for us in business. How many opportunities or relationships have we come across in our world where we don't even take advantage of it because we're not clear on what we want in our life, right? And so vision comes with clarity, and clarity is power, right? And so with that story, just to kind of, develop the story a little bit here, it's, when I met my wife, I had 5 addictions. I was addicted to women, alcohol, drugs, nicotine, and caffeine. When I met my wife, she rid me of all those 5 things, right? And give her a round of applause. That was hard. I don't know how she did it. It was the Lord. Was it the Lord? But I was going down a certain path in my life because I had a certain clarity and vision in my life. But when I met with my wife, she really redirected my steps. And when you redirect your steps and just change your vision, that's why people like, you guys watch the Shark Tank with Damon John and these guys, they'll go to an organization and they'll want to raise $10 million. Well, why would you invest $10 million in a company that has maybe done $1 million in the first year? Why? Because they have a vision. They're setting forth the vision set forth beforehand. And so they're giving them the vision of how to get excited. So what is the vision for yourself, your relationship, and for your organization? Because you guys have to get crystal clear on that. Because if you guys get crystal clear on that, what's going to start to happen is your brain, your reticular activating system is going to find ways and opportunities to put those opportunities and solutions in front of you, right? Because if something comes in front of me, there's a relationship, there's a city that I go to, I'm like, wow, I can actually build a relationship with this individual. This is actually going to move me closer to my goal because I have crystal clarity on my vision. And so if you know your story, you have purpose, and you have a vision for your life and for your organization, you can build instant influence and authority because now you're moving differently. You're detached from the outcome. You're having a conversation with someone, and you don't want a specific result. And Dubai is so awesome with that because everyone is so humble and so calm when they have conversations because they're detached from the result. They care about people and relationships. And what starts to happen is you start to get the results and you start to foster the relationships as well. And then the last thing, a tactical strategy for you guys. And I know we were talking about doing like a workshop maybe even for this too, but creating an offer. One of the things that we've done really, really well with like the business that I'm part of, and so just to kind of tie it all together, who I'm called to serve anyone that's going through a transition, anyone that's looking to find their life's purpose. That's the problem I'm called to solve. And then the solution is my Keynote. I teach people how to find their life's purpose. So I go to universities all around the world, teaching specifically university students how to find their life's purpose. That's one specific audience. And ultimately conferences and business owners how to find purpose in their life, in their personal relationships, but also in their business relationships to give them clarity and a vision to bear fruit in whatever aspect of life it is. And so to kind of tie it back into to my story and to kind of wrap this up here is, at the beginning, when I was in China, I remember I was like, Lord, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I was writing down my perfect day, my ideal day. What time am I waking up? What time, what am I eating? What does it smell like? What does it look like? I was getting very clear on this. And I remember one of the things I loved to do was to speak. And what I realized in my life was, as a young kid, I was speaking to imaginary audiences with my brother playing make-believe. I was preaching and creating presentations to imaginary audiences as a 4-year-old kid. So that's another thing is, what type of things were you doing as a young kid as well? Because those things, you can tap into that because kids are creative. You give them a problem, the kids are going to find a solution. I don't know if anyone has kids in here. I think everyone's, riding supercars. They don't have that third seat for a kid there, but it's one of those things where we're so creative as a child and as a kid, right? And one of those things there is, I was like, I want to travel the world and work with Tony Robbins. That's all I had. So that was the goal. And so I was meditating on it every single day. And I want to do an example. If a couple is brave enough to come up and help me, I want to show you guys something. But I need one brave couple that can come and help me do this illustration. Do I have any takers? Or we can do 2 men. We can do that too. But if I can get 2, can we do 2? Can we get 2 men? Can we get 2? We have any volunteers, or everyone doing shisha? Can we get 2 volunteers?
Not everyone, guys. I have actually.
What about the Captain Kirk boys? Really quick. It will be easy. It'll be easy. And these guys are single too, so you guys can get a good look. Woo! Let's give them a round of applause. It's a tough crowd in Dubai, but we'll get it. So guys, yeah, we'll reward you guys. So one of the things I want to do, you guys are both very strong. I want one of you to put your hands up like this, go like this. And then for you, I want you to stand behind them and put left hand and right hand on there. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to keep your arms up, and I want you to push them down, but not yet. But one of the things I want you to do is in your mind, say, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm powerful. Just keep saying it over your head. Say it. Now start to, and keep your arms up and push. You can't do it, right? Okay, now I want you to say, yeah, stop. He's a strong guy. These are real. These are all natural here. And so the next thing I want you to do is now, just for a moment, because I want you to say, I'm worthless. I'm a loser. I'm worthless. Just keep saying it in your head. Now now do the same thing. Right? Yeah. You see the difference there? Now do it again. Now say, I'm strong, I'm worthy, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm powerful. Do it. And that's after 2 rounds. So thank you, guys. Give him a round of applause. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys. I love you guys. America, right? USA, America, America, Trump. That's funny. But guys, that's the power of having positive self-talk, because how you guys, the thoughts that you have, it moves on a molecular level and changes your physiology. And I know DeAndre is going to get into this too with the law of attraction. So this is just kind of a warm-up and segue into that. But when you have that negative self-talk, he was trying hard. He was actually really trying, and you know, he's actually super strong. Usually they just give up and you just fall down, but he lowered. And so it was a struggle, right? But even the 3rd time that you did it, you were very positive. Even you thought you were strong again, right? So what times in our lives are we faced with a situation and a problem and we have negative self-talk? And it can actually change you at the physiological level. And so that's what I did with this Tony Robbins things. I read it and I was like, Lord, I want to travel the world and work with Tony Robbins and travel the world and work with Tony Robbins. And I would say it in every inch of my body. I was saying it, and I was just in my room. I was like a crazy man. Well, what starts to happen is I had this guy reach out to me. He said, well, there's this company that works with Tony Robbins. And I was like, really? Well, I was crystal clear on what I wanted to do. And so I said, oh, awesome. So we connected, because what I also do, I'm a business consultant. I help businesses grow and scale. And one of the things that they needed help with was growing and scaling their event company. And they would partner with people all around the world. They had locations in every continent. And they worked with Tony Robbins that had an exclusive contract. Who's that? Do I have any Tony Robbins fans out here? Any Tony Robbins fans? Well, Tony Robbins, he has these events where you walk on fire, and I'll never forget it. So, you know, long story short on that, I ended up getting an opportunity to work with them, and I went to the first event in LA. It was an LA Convention Center. It was 20,000 people. It was like a football field. It was super long. And I just remember I saw a 75-year-old woman. She walked on coals. It was about the length of this platform. But what they do is they put hot coals, and what they tell you is that have a positive affirmation in your mind, strut positively, and have the end in mind. That was really the whole thing. And people walked on fire, 20,000 people. And then after the peak state, they offered a $100,000 platinum partnership program, which was a mastermind. So I remember this 75-year-old woman, she's like walking across stage, she's like screaming, and then she throws her credit card at me to sign up for this $100,000 mastermind program. And I'm like, well, what exactly is a mastermind? You know, I'm still learning the whole space and things like that. And so they were making millions of dollars in a day. And I saw that, so I was like, you know what? I need to start my own live event company. I would love to do that, you know? So that's how I ended up meeting my wife, and that's how we got connected with Damon John, and that's what pushed me to then get more opportunities to speak on stage. And then the TEDx talk came about. I gave a TED talk on, you know, I was really getting clear on, like, what do I want to speak on? Lord, do I talk about how to scale and grow companies, because I've been doing that for the last 10 years, but do I have a very personal message? What's a message that I can share from my heart? What's a message that if I only had 24 hours left to live, what would I want to share with my friends, my family, and my loved ones? And if you guys can answer that question and get crystal clear on that, for me, it was purpose. If I can teach people how to find their life's purpose, I was like, man, that's the greatest gift on earth that I can give someone. That would be awesome. If I just had the opportunity to do that, that would be incredible. So that's what I did. We ended up going viral. And then what happened was people started reaching out to me organically. I never had the intention. But what happened was I got up on stage. The people saw a glimpse of my heart, and they saw a glimpse of my soul on stage. And so people came up to me, and I had this one guy come up to me. He's like, Tyler, I don't know what it is that you do, but I want to do business with you because I like you and I like your energy. And I'm like, man, I don't know what you do. Let's hop on a call. Like, let's take it slow. But then I was like, I got married in 3 days, so whatever. Let's go for it, you know. And so another thing that started happening is like, hey, I would love to have you come speak at my podcast, or I'd love to have you come speak at my event, right? And one of those things too was I had this guy, and this is the last thing I want to mention to give you guys some strategy, and be more than happy to help you with this. But there is this guy that he reached out to me and he's like, Tyler, I invested 25 grand to get on the speaking stage. And I said, 25 grand, what exactly did you invest in? Like, I want you to help me get a TEDx talk too. So I looked at the agreement, and this was apparently an industry leader in the marketplace. And what he did and what he signed was, it was a done with you program where he got online courses, and then it was weekly coaching calls. So nothing was guaranteed. He paid 25 grand, and how this model was set up. And I've been in the online marketing space for a while. A lot of people have this model where it's churn and burn. Let's run ads, generate the phone call, close the deal, have them sign the dotted line, and then have really good contracts so they're legally, contractually off the hook. So, because technically, he signed that, now they can't get a refund or anything like that. So I'm like, dude, why'd you sign this? And he's like, oh, it sounded good and stuff like that. But he's like, Tyler, I'm willing to pay you. Can you help me? And so this is the last thing I want to share and impart with you guys is this was an organic business model that came about. So what are some conversations that you're having? Because everyone has problems. When people ask a question to you, how can you solve that problem? Because for me, I was like, well, I can actually help you give a TEDx talk because I've done it myself. And so I had no intention of creating a business around it. But what happened was he had a business and he had a family, but he wanted a done-for-you solution. He wanted me to take care of everything, and he wanted to just give the talk. And I looked at the marketplace, and one of the things I do when I consult with organizations is, what's the offer? Because if you're looking to buy, a Ferrari for one price, and you can get the same exact Ferrari for less expensive down the road, why would someone purchase it from you? And that's what happens in our business. Is if we have a specific offer and it's not distinctive, it's not unique, it's not better, then why would I do business with you? So we have to get crystal clear with what the offer is. And so this company was charging 25 grand. And so what I came in at a lower price point. I offered a done-for-you service, and then I offered a guarantee, and this is with, not having a business around it. If we work with you, we're going to keep working with you until we get you the result. That was it. We had a mentality. It was a mindset going in. It was like, hey, if you pay me money and invest with me, I will get you the result, whatever it takes, whether it's 3, 6, 12 months. And I had people that believed in my story. They believed in my vision. They believed in my purpose. And so they're like, you know what? I like the guarantee. I like that it's a done-for-you offer. And then the kicker was we also guaranteed at least 1 million views. Because with my talk, we did over 2.5 million. And so now we are a done-for-you service that helps people find their story, find their purpose, deliver it on stage, and have it share with the world. Because if you can share your story and share your purpose, then it funnels into your business because people want to connect with you and they want to do business with you. And so it's such a powerful tool. And then from there, you can leverage the heck out of the asset by leveraging it for podcasts, businesses, and stuff like that. But that's all I have for you guys. If you have any specific questions, I know you guys are shishaing right now, but if you guys have any questions, we would be more than happy to connect with you guys. I hope you guys got some value. I'm super grateful to be here. And I'm excited to have a great weekend. I'm kind of scared of those cameras. We don't have those in the States. We have real police officers. But I was extremely humbled on the road. I was like, I got all this horsepower, but I can't go fast. So super grateful to be here with you guys, and I'm more than happy to connect with you. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Thank you, brother. I'm sweaty.
Yeah, it's all good.
Thank you, Tyler. Impactful talk on how to build established influence and authority regardless of your age or income and experience. So thank you. Guys, during the next couple days, we're going to have several talks, conversation starters, conversations to continue to have to give you some value for your time. We're going to continue to, the next couple hours, have some drinks.